Looking for a breakfast recipe that's simple to make, works every single time, and will impress the hell out of your guests, you've come to the right place. Today we're going to do a breakfast. We call it one pan breakfast, and it's going to have 4 or 5 ingredients in there, and believe it or not, everything will be cooked in one pan, and by the time we're done it will be served off of the pan. So it's going to look amazing, it's going to taste amazing, and it will your pan is ready. So that's it. So for this breakfast in a skillet or breakfast in a pan, we're going to have 7 components. So we're going to have our start of the show, which is of course going to be a steak, and I have it cut up in small strips, pretty thin, because it's going to be done quickly. You can also see that we have very good marbling up here in this. So this is going to be the start of the show. The second component will be our hash browns. We'll have sauteed, not sauteed, but pan fried or pan seared mushrooms and tomatoes. We'll have a shallot in there as well, and of course we're gonna add some eggs in there. So this is gonna get cooked in one pan. It doesn't get any more easier than this. And what I'm using here is a cast iron pan, as you can see, and this here is a 12-inch cast iron. What do you think? It's a 12-inch? 12-inch? Okay, let's figure it out. All right, so there we go. Yeah, this is a 12-inch skillet, and these are not very expensive. So I would definitely recommend go ahead and invest in a cast iron pan if you don't already have one. And these are not very expensive, but they last you a lifetime. Something like this, which is pre-seasoned, and you can start it right off the bat or off the shelf. Probably should not run you more than about $25. And this is a good brand, as you can see up here, very well-known American-made brand, Lodge. So the way you do this is we're going to lightly coat it with oil first. So just be generous with it, because we're going to coat all of it. So the oil is going to go directly on the meat, and once it hits the pan is going to be bone dry, but it's going to be very, very hot, and that's what you're looking for. So do salt and pepper on top. Depending on the cut of the meat that you have, use salt and pepper appropriately. I'm not going to put a whole lot in there because these are finely pretty thin, and we don't want it to be overpowering with the salt and the pepper. So we're gonna of course season both sides, always season both sides. I like to for this kind of application I like to do it off the pan, but then there are some instances and applications where you want to do the seasoning in the pan, but this is not one of those. In the same fashion, we're gonna get our vegetables ready. I'm using olive oil up here. I think it's gonna impart some good flavor. You can use any kind of oil that you want. So you can do it right in the pan. No need to mess up the dishes that you have to wash afterwards. And of course, the salt and pepper on top. So the goal is to get our pan smoking hot, which I think you can, if you move in a little closer, you can probably see that right now it is smoking, and that's how you want it. I will probably put my meat in there first. Compared to what we mentioned in the beginning, I'll probably get a good searing on both sides, and then I'll move the meat to the side, and then I'll add my hash browns, because the reason for that is once you put the hash browns in, there's going to be some oil on the pan, but I want my meat to go on a dry pan, on a virgin pan, because that's what's going to give me the caramelization that I'm looking for, the nice little crust that I need on both sides. So first we will sear our meat on both sides, and we'll move it to the side, and then we're going to do the rest of the ingredients, and then we'll at some point add the meat for it to finish cooking off. Now listen for the sound. That's the sound you want when you put the meat on. That will tell you that your pan is ready. So that's the sound you're looking for. If you don't hear that sound, it means your griddle is not ready, or your pan. As you can see, the meat is going very, very quickly. So of course it's gonna shrink a bit, but the goal is to get the caramelization that we look for. So we're probably gonna give it about 30 seconds, 30 seconds to maybe about a minute, depending on the size of the meat. Like I said, if you want to use one piece of meat and you want to use ribeye, go ahead and do that. But you're going to probably have at least about 1 inch of thickness, and you will have a different cooking time for your meat. But for today, I'm going to use these 2 strips, which are probably about 1/4 inch thick. So let's take a look to see what's going on the side. And there we go. We're already very close. All right, so we're going to check our meat. It's been probably about a minute, and this is exactly where we want it. Because remember, we're not cooking it all the way through at this point. We're just looking for some decent caramelization. All right, so we're going to take our meat off the pan, and we're gonna put it on the griddle. The griddle is hot as well, but I'm gonna move it to the side where we have least amount of heat. If need comes, I'll probably move it to a different place, which I'm probably gonna do right now. I don't want it to get overcooked. So we'll put it right up here. Now this is our, you can see the juice is flowing. You can already see good stuff happening to this meat. All right, so to our already hot pan, we're gonna add some oil, and whatever is remaining at the bottom, don't worry about it. That's the good stuff you want to stay lingering in your pan. All right, so now that our pan is at the temperature where we need it, we're gonna add our hash browns, and they're gonna start doing their thing right away. So just make sure you have them at the right thickness. You don't want it too thick, you don't want it too thin either. If it's too thin, it's gonna end up being like a crisp wafer, which you don't want. These we were gonna probably season lightly on both sides, which we will do right now. So again, we're gonna put salt and pepper, the only two ingredients or spices, whatever you call it, we're putting in there. So this is the real estate that's gonna occupy in our 12-inch pan. And just keep in mind what else is gonna come in here eventually. So I'm gonna flip it now and get it together. Now at this point, we're gonna add our vegetables, because this thing will be ready probably in about 2-3 minutes. And that's all we need for the vegetables to get done, and also our meat. I'm gonna bring the vegetables over. So we're gonna put our mushrooms right in here. Gonna add our tomatoes. Stuff is looking good. Make sure, and if you feel that it needs a little bit more oil, by all means go ahead and do that. And you can also mix and match between olive oil and the other oil if you want to do that. If you don't want it to be too overpowering with one flavor. So right now we'll just let it sit there and do its thing. At this point, we'll add our shallots as well, or one shallot should I say. All right, so we're gonna add the shallot to the mix. Let's add a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, now's the time for our meat to go back in there. So the meat is gonna come back and join the party. So you just add your meat in here. So we have pretty much everything in our pan, our breakfast in a skillet pan. The only thing missing here right now is the bread and the eggs, and that's why we have this space for. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover this up for a little bit for it to get the benefit of the steam and the radiant heat inside. So to help with the process of steaming and getting everything cooked in, you can always add some water to it to add some steam and to keep it from getting too dry. So depending on how your meat and your other things are getting cooked, let it sit there with covered with a lid or anything that you have. Is going to give you the benefit of induction cooking or induction heat, which is going to occupy all the ingredients in there from all sides instead of cooking from bottom up. Like our hash browns, they're looking good. Then as you can see, the skin of our tomatoes is giving way, which is a sign that they're getting really happy right now. So we just want to flip them a little bit, get all the edges covered, flip our onion, our mushrooms, and we're getting very, very close to getting done. So probably from start to finish, probably not even 10 minutes. So look at our meats now, looking really nice and delicious. Add a little more water to get the steaming process going and help everything get cooked thoroughly, especially our meat. We want it to be done inside. So depending on your preferences and the preferences of your guests and the people you're serving, you can do the meat the way that you want it. The guests that I'm serving today, they want their meat. They don't want their meat alive. Let's put it that way. So I'm gonna make sure that they're happy. So all the moisture you see in there is water. We have very little oil in there. So once this is done, we'll probably add our eggs, and maybe right now is a good time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make room for our eggs, and I'll see where the oil is gathering, because I'm gonna use that as a sign to place my eggs. So I can see a lot of oil gathering on this side. So for my eggs, I'm using butter because I like that. You can use oil or whatever medium you want to cook your eggs, and just kind of like keep your butter or your oil concentrated on one side, let it get hot. So I'm going to move this towards a high heat point, move my other things on the side, because these things are pretty much all done. We just want the eggs and bread to get ready. At this point, you want to throw your bread inside the toaster. In my case, I'm throwing it right here on the grill top because I have one up here. If you don't worry, just throw that in a toaster, in an oven, or whatever not. And depending the number of the guests that you're serving, you can have that many toasts up there. So we have our eggs on standby. Our bread is almost ready. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the eggs and just nicely pop them on top. All right, this one came out good. All right, so just let your eggs cook. And so again, you can cook your eggs whichever way you want. So the eggs are almost getting ready. And again, eggs are a preference. Everybody likes it differently. I'm gonna break it down into 2 pieces, so it's easy for me to flip it if I have to. And we're pretty much done. So I'm gonna flip this egg. Can increase the heat a little bit so you can get done a little quicker. Let's try to flip this as well. Nice and easy. One of the yolks gave way, but that's okay. And our bread is looking good as well. This is the kind of color we want. All right, so I think we look just about good with everything. So we're going to remove this thing from the heat. So what I use, you might be wondering what this is. These are just slip-on silicone handles. They make it easy for you to move the pan, and they're pretty good. They can tolerate a lot of heat. If not, you can always use some mitts and whatnot. So let's take a look and figure out what we have done here. I mean, what we have here is a full, complete breakfast that probably would satisfy your finickiest of guests. Of course, we have the star of the show for me, the meat, which is looking amazing at this point. It's nice and juicy. It has eggs in there, and for me, eggs, I can have them all day long. They're like all-rounded breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's how much I love eggs. So we're just gonna sprinkle some salt and pepper on top. All right, so let me cut a piece of the meat because we want to see how this is done. And you want to, again, always cut your meat against the grain. So this is the part that's all fat, so it's coming off a little differently. Meat is nicely done. If you want, you can have it rare or medium rare, as you like it. So guys, what we have here is amazing. I mean, I can't believe that everything was cooked in one pan, and it took us probably less than 10 minutes to pull this off. So what we have here is something pretty darn amazing. I mean, look at this pan. Take a look at it. Who won't want to dig in at breakfast like this? Can't go wrong with this. This thing has everything going on in there. You have your eggs, you have your meat, you have your bread, you have your hash browns, some vegetables, and the simplicity of it is just amazing. If you notice, we did not put a single ingredient in there except salt and pepper. Flavor engines, they call them. They go pretty much in everything. So it doesn't get any more simpler than this. And if I can cook this in 10 minutes, there's no reason why you guys shouldn't be trying it out. So go ahead and give it a shot. Guys, so now for the moment of truth that we've been waiting for, let's give this thing a shot. So I'm going to start off with just the meat first. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a meat. I want to try it just by itself first. All right, I kid you not, this is ridiculously good, especially for something that's so simple to make. Has pretty much no ingredients, and it just took us barely 10 minutes to cook, and we haven't even gotten into the halfway point of our dish here. We have so many other things going in there, so I'm going to try out the eggs right now. And mind you, everything cooking together, it's going to impart flavor to everything that's in there. So what you have is eggs that are imparted with flavor from the vegetables, from the meat. Same thing for the vegetables. You have your vegetables that are imparted with flavors coming from your meat and from your eggs. So I'm going to break off a piece of the mushrooms here because I like mushrooms. And I'm going to pair that up with the meat, a little bit of tomatoes. I'm going to get a shot of everything in there. Wow, the tomatoes are so nicely done because of the olive oil in there, a little bit of butter that was added at the tail end, that's imparting flavor in there as well, paired off with the meat and the mushrooms. I can't explain to you how good the flavor is. You have to go and try it and give it a shot. and then leave us some comments. Let us know how it came out. I'm gonna try some eggs as well, because I love eggs. Break off a piece of bread if I can. So I like my yolks runny, but here we ended up breaking them, which is okay. But if I had done it any differently, I would have tried to keep the yolks intact, because I love the runny yolk and bread combination. Just that itself is reason enough to kill. It's amazing. Same thing here. There's so much more going on in just that bread and egg combination, because you have the flavors imparted from so many different ingredients. You have your proteins, you have your meat, you have your hash browns. All right, guys, so this is pretty much it. This is an amazing breakfast in one pan in a skillet. Go ahead and give it a shot. Whatever you're sitting on, maybe couch or chair or whatever it is that your mode of sitting on, get up of that, give this thing a shot, because it does not get any easier than this. If I can do this thing in 10 minutes, anybody can. And there's no reason why you should not be trying this out, treating yourself to this goodness that's in front of you, or the people that you love around you, giving them a taste of this breakfast. So with that, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe it. Once you've subscribed, don't forget to click on the notify bell, which is right down here somewhere, and also share it with your friends if you can. And definitely leave comments, because we're looking for your comments too. Let us know how we can make it better. If there's some comments about the dish itself that you want to put down there, definitely go ahead. They can be praise or they can be critique, whatever it may be, but we definitely want comments from you, and we'll try to respond to every single comment that comes in. So with that, with this, we're going to sign off, and next time around the same time, possibly on Tuesday every week, we'll come back to you with another amazing dish. So now me and my cameraman, my second born, we're going to go ahead and start enjoying this food.